Now 5:30 on WKYT this morning. It wasn't their kind of night. We'll have reaction from some people who waited for hours to get in and then hours and hours to get out of a concert with one of country music's hottest acts.
An investigation is underway after an accident on a Kentucky military base left a soldier dead.
And days after a cargo ship sank in the Atlantic, family members ask why the Faro set sail with a tropical storm in its path.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning to you from WKYT News. Welcome in here on this Wednesday. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith. Really been enjoying some nice weather.
Oh, it's just been fantastic in the afternoons, all that sunshine and warm weather. Let's check in with meteorologist Micah Harris. How long can we hold on to that?
Well, it looks like at least another couple of days. Once we hit late week, that's when you'll start to see some changes. Outside this morning, you can actually see for miles there on the interstate. If you work your way down toward the Tri-County area, Corbin's sitting there in the 50s, and that goes for London too. And then you work your way toward Jackson, Prestonsburg, and head off toward the Mountain Parkway. I don't see any issues this morning. Now, as we hit the afternoon, we'll be right there in the upper 70s to lower 80s, much like what we have felt the past couple of days. Sun and cloud mix, just like yesterday. But then we head off into the next couple of days. We'll start to see some changes. It gets a little bit warmer. Usually when you see that, you can expect rain the next couple of days. We'll have that in your forecast. I'll show you when in just a few minutes.
Hey, and we'll see you in a bit, and we thank you. And in the news, more than 20,000 people packed Talon Winery to see country music superstar Luke Bryan perform. But getting concert goers in and out of that venue proved to be a very tough task.
Yeah, we have some Sky First video for you of the backup on Tates Creek Road. Some people actually ended up being stuck for hours, even running out of gas. WKYT's Mark Barber is live at Talon Winery with a look at the concert traffic troubles.
Good morning, Rebecca and Bill. It was a very long night getting here, and after the concert ended, it was a long morning getting out of here. I spoke with cleanup crews out here just a few minutes ago, and they told me that the fans who actually made it here to Talon Winery for the Luke Bryan concert, they were still trying to get out of here. They were backed up in traffic an hour and a half ago. That was 5 hours after this concert ended. Now, some might consider those fans the lucky ones because they actually made it here. We're told it was impossible for some people to even get to the country music concert because the traffic backup on Tates Creek Road was a nightmare. When about 20,000 fans tried to make their way up a one-lane road for the Luke Bryan concert yesterday, they started waiting in bumper-to-bumper traffic for hours. The concert was supposed to start at 7, but traffic started backing up long before. One driver told us he ran out of gas while he was waiting, and he started out the night with half a tank. The backup is being described as a fiasco. Many people eventually left their vehicles beside the road and walked to the concert. Luke Bryan delayed the concert by 2.5 hours to give people the chance to make it here.
Well, we were sitting in the car and we could see that there were people in front of us that were sitting there for probably a good, what, half hour, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
And had not even moved, so we decided we would just sit there and wait and see.
Just to let it clear out a little bit.
Away from Ohio, so they had a very long day on the road. Now, police officers were still out at many intersections along Tates Creek Road when we were driving out here around 4:30 this morning. So we'll wait and see. We'll ask officers later today if this could become an issue for them with this concert in terms of overtime. Again, they were out at these intersections for more than 12 hours. Now, as for those people who were not able to make it to the concert here, will they get a refund for those tickets? We've asked that question, but we still have not received an answer at this time. That's the latest here from the Talon Winery. I'm Mark Barber, WKYT.
What a mess out there for those folks. Thanks so much, Mark. Well, one person was actually hit by a car after the concert. Lexington police tell us a driver swerved to avoid hitting a vehicle that had stopped on Tates Creek that was about a mile from Talon. Instead, they hit a woman who was walking. Luckily, that woman was okay and only suffered minor injuries. Police say that no charges will be filed against the driver.
All right. Hope the music was worth it all. Our time this morning is 5:34. Police think a copycat could be at work in Madison County after a threat was found inside a middle school. Someone wrote a threatening message on a bathroom wall at Clark Moore's Middle School. Letters went home to parents yesterday afternoon notifying them about what happened. This incident comes just days after a threatening message was found in a bathroom at Eastern Kentucky University. Richmond police do not think any students are in danger, but they told us they are taking the message seriously.
Happening today, a man charged in a crash that killed a young Scott County boy is due in court. William Mefford faces several charges, including manslaughter, wanton endangerment, and leaving the scene of an accident. Back in July, Versailles police say Mefford's truck crashed into a car carrying a family of 4. 11-year-old Ryan Moore died. Mefford is accused of running from the scene but later turning himself in. Police testified during Mefford's last hearing that they found marijuana and other drug paraphernalia in his truck at the time of the crash. An animal complaint led to the arrests of 4 people for child endangerment. The Whitley County Sheriff's Office made the discovery at a home on Old Mill Road. Investigators say they were called to make a welfare check on a horse, but instead they say they found the children alone, living with pigs and other animals in filthy conditions.
Feces on the floor, just purely filthy. I looked through the refrigerator, it was filthy.
Police say Frank Lockaby was supposed to be babysitting the children. Police also arrested the children's parents, Joshua and Aurora Jenkins, and they have been charged with child endangerment. A 4th person was arrested on outstanding charges. Police say the children are now with other relatives. Well, military investigators are trying to figure out what went wrong during a training exercise that left a soldier dead. It happened on Kentucky's Fort Campbell military base, and WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is at our live desk with the latest on the investigation into how this happened. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Officials are saying they believe this was an accident. An investigation is underway and may take weeks to complete. An official at Fort Campbell is saying the soldier was shot and killed by another soldier during a routine training Tuesday morning. The soldier died at the hospital on base. The soldier's name is not being released as of right now. A Fort Campbell spokesperson says the soldier was in a squad-level group of 7 to 9 people. The group was conducting a training exercise using live fire when the soldier was shot. The training exercise is routine, and an accident like this one is uncommon.
This is not something that happens often, and in fact quite rare. In the last 2 years that I've been here, this is the first time anything like this has happened.
No one else was injured in the incident. As of now, other servicemen are said to be receiving counseling. Fort Campbell is home to the Army's 5th largest military population. The military base sits on the Kentucky-Tennessee line. At the live desk, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Michelle, thank you. This weekend, cyclists around central Kentucky will ride in memory of a Lexington lawyer who was hit and killed while riding a bicycle back in May. Police say a suspected drunk driver hit Mark Hinkle while he was riding in the Horsey 100 in Scott County. On Sunday, Hinkle's cycling team will be led by police down Lemons Mill Road as part of a memorial ride in his honor. The group will also place a bike in the spot where he died as part of a permanent memorial.
You hate when things like this happen, but it also helps to bring the community together. And we have noticed that drivers are a little more respectful. So that might be a positive that's come out of this.
The ride is open to the public. A portion of Lemons Mill will be closed during the dedication of that memorial. Well, relatives question why a cargo ship set sail last week as Hurricane Joaquin grew stronger and stronger. The storm eventually became a Category 4 hurricane. They could see the storm clouds gathering. All crews have found of the El Faro ship at this point as debris. And as Andrew Spencer reports, the NTSB is looking into concerns about when the ship left out and why it continued to sail.
People gather for vigils from Florida to Maine as the days stretch on with no word from the 33 crew members aboard the cargo ship El Faro. Their family members ask, why did the El Faro sail and continue to sail as a tropical storm grew into a hurricane as it neared the Bahamas?
I don't think that they should have shipped them out when they knew that was going on. That makes no sense to me at all.
Destiny Sparrow says her father was responsible for steering the ship. Her mom relayed the news. The Coast Guard says the ship sank. Search crews found debris spread across more than 200 square miles.
I drove over to her house and I started crying and was just holding her because it's hard.
Tote Services, which owns the El Faro, insists the weather seemed favorable at the time and no reports from the captain seemed alarming until the ship lost its propulsion.
His plan was a sound plan that would have enabled him to clearly pass around the storm with a margin of comfort that was adequate in his professional opinion.
When the ship sailed on Tuesday evening, the storm was nowhere near what it was at the time that the vessel became disabled.
All of that will be part of the investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board.
We will be studying the meteorological conditions and all of the factors that went into the decision making to sail on that day and to continue sailing.
The NTSB expects that investigation to take at least a week. Andrew Spencer, WKYT.
Well, the Kentucky Board of Education has approved a contract for the new state education commissioner. Stephen Pruitt will get an annual salary of $240,000 over 4 years. Pruitt is a former executive with an independent education reform group. He will succeed Terry Holliday, who retired in August. Pruitt is expected to begin work in Kentucky later this month.
5:40 right now on WKYT this morning, 20 before 6. You may notice more students walking to school this morning. Today is National Walk to School Day. The event, which is held annually, teaches students about ways to stay safe while walking and also about using safe routes. Each fall, Safe Kids Fayette County chooses one elementary for its educational program. And this year's featured school will be William Wells Brown Elementary. Schools in all 50 states are taking part in this program today. Always good to know those routes and to be safe out there.
And it's a perfect weather kind of day for that.
That really works out. All right, time to check live drive traffic this morning. Let's see what's going on bright and early with a look right now at our Waze app indicating things are clear.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good out there for you on your Wednesday morning. No major issues and no collisions.
Just stragglers probably still getting in from the Luke Bryan concert.
There were some issues last night at that concert.
All night long and into the wee hours of this morning. Some folks trying to get home. So there you go. Good to have you along. 5:41 now on WKYT on your Wednesday morning.
A plan to beautify a cemetery ended up wielding a much bigger venture. We'll show you how an improvement project grew into a business opportunity. That's after weather.
Boy, the next couple of days look pretty good. However, we get towards your weekend, and we'll start to see a front. You can't really see it now, but it's starting to come together. We'll get into that, show you that rain in the forecast coming up.